All right, John, so when you helped me set up my fitness business, you sent me a fitness business checklist. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do, because I send that to everybody, not just you, George.
Oh, I thought I was special.
You're not special. Well, you are special, but that's not why I sent it to you.
Okay, well, could we go through those various bullet points on the checklist for everyone to enjoy to set up their own fitness business?
I would love to.
Okay, so the first thing you told me to do was to choose a business name. Why is that important?
Yeah, okay, so that is at the very top. Now, you can actually shelve that for a bit. It's becoming a bit of a, I can't think of my name yet, and it's stalling the growth of what you're trying to do. However, if you get that bit right, it's kind of a good place to start. So yeah, when you choose your business name, make sure it's a name that has longevity. It feels right for you and it feels right for your audience. So if you're going after, a male-dominated audience and they're like, the old school males, with old school values and beliefs, etc., you probably want something that sounds fairly strong. So think about your audience. Also think about when it's turned into a logo, it needs to be able to fit. Think about the dimensions of like a windscreen. Apparently, when we look, our peripherals is about the dimensions of a car windscreen. So will it fit nicely into those sort of dimensions? Don't get over bogged down with the idea that it's got to describe what you do, because does Apple describe what Apple does? They don't sell apples as far as I'm aware. So just think about something punchy and the word relates to your customer audience, or when I say relates, resonates. It's a good word.
Okay, and then you say to check the name on Company's House and domain availability.
Yeah, so in the UK we have something called Company's House, so you can register your name with Company's House. It's a protective element so that you can make sure that nobody else has a business registered in that name. Just literally go onto Google, type in Company's House, go on there, type in the name and search. If no one else has got that name, that's your first box ticked.
Okay, great. You also say to register your business with HMRC.
Yeah, so when you've got a business, if you are taking money by your business and you are not registered with HMRC and they find out, you are going to be liable for a fine, and some of those fines will be quite big. So once you've established your business name, you've registered it and you're in operation, register with HMRC as well.
Okay, you also say to register your business name with Google as well.
Yeah, so the great thing about Google is you can Google business listing on Google, and you can get a free business listing. So you will have to have a permanent address. So whether that's your home or the gym you work at with their permission, they will send you something in the post with a code, which you then use as proof that you do have that is your place of business. And if someone Googles your business name, boom, become lovely jubbly.
Oh, brilliant. You then say to set up a business bank account. That sounds a bit scary.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be a business bank account, as in if you Google business bank accounts, a very specific bank account for business. Create an account. It could be another current account in your name that you just use for your business. I've done one-to-one mentoring with guys in the past, and I'm like, where's your money going? Those that have got it all going into their current account with everything else, it's hideous. When it comes to doing your accounts at the end of the year, miserable, trying to work out what's personal income and expenditure versus business, you can sync it with software like Xero, your bookkeeping software that reconciles your bank transactions really easily. It just makes life so much easier. Get an account that you use just for business.
Okay, that's great to know. You then say to get business insurance. How do I do that?
Business insurance, so we use an organisation ourselves for our own insurance, and we like them. They're really good. You talk to them on the phone, they're really helpful. So we send that link to our guys when they qualify. But what you typically start with is public liability, which covers if you do accidentally injure your clients. Professional indemnity is if you're giving advice and they act on that advice and they get hurt. And you can there's other insurances you might want to get, like insure your business equipment, but you might be able to add that onto your home insurance. And there's even like cyber insurance in case you get hacked and people need data. But the first two, public liability and professional indemnity, are the two I think considered to be the most important. But I should probably say I'm not an insurance advisor. I'm not qualified to necessarily give that advice. That's my experience.
Okay, great. You then say to get a good accountant.
Yeah, get a good accountant. So I've had the same accountant for years. Luckily for me, they are good at what they do. And you know, there's things that I was using for my business in the early days, I didn't think to put down as an expense on my self-assessment. So what they will do is make sure that it's optimized, and also, you know, if there's things you're forgetting to declare that are going to create problems for you later on down the line, they will remind you of those. Well, mine certainly does anyway. So get a good accountant means that you're not paying more than you need to, and you're not going to get yourself into a sticky situation.
Okay, then say to set up a private pension. How do I do that?
Yeah, oh, this is something I wish, like, I don't really have any regrets in life because I look upon all my mistakes and challenges as lessons learned. But with the pension, it's all about compound interest. The earlier you start putting money into a pension, even if it's £1 a week, start as early as possible, because you get interest on your interest on your interest on interest, and that compounds over time. So the most powerful thing that you have for compounding that is time. So start as early as you possibly can.
Okay, you then say to create a war chest. Start saving to cover 3 to 6 months' salary and annual purchases. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so a lot of these are generic business advice, not necessarily just fitness businesses, but there's going to be times, I'm going to give you an example. So during the COVID thing, as a training provider that qualifies people to become PTs, all of a sudden people weren't interested in becoming PTs because gyms were closed. We weren't really know what was going on. We didn't know whether it was the end of the world, were people going to turn into zombies and all sorts. So people weren't interested. Luckily for me, I'd created a war chest where I'd put 6 months of overheads, the amount of money to cover 6 months of overheads. So if I didn't get any income for a long period of time, I had the money there sitting, waiting. And so many companies went under during that time, and I'm assuming because they didn't have their war chest. Luckily, I had that in place, I survived, and I'm going strong now.
Oh, that's great advice. You then say you need to define and document your business vision.
Yeah, so this was great for me. This was a game-changing part of business. It made it more exciting. It really helped direct what I'm actually trying to do. So picture what you want to do in 10 years' time. What does your business want to be? What does it want to look like in 10 years' time? And I know it's hard when you first start because you have that little bit of modesty sometimes where you're like, oh, I don't know, I don't think I have that confidence to, you know, be a Joe Wicks or, you know, Ross Edgley or whatever. But there's no reason why they weren't a Joe Wicks or Ross Edgley once themselves. So you've got to start somewhere. So just think about in 10 years' time, in an ideal world, what would you want your business to look like? Get that down in writing and look at that every day.
Yeah, great. You then say to do the same thing, but for your mission.
Yeah, so mission's slightly different. So let's say I have a vision where I want to be on the moon one day. That's my vision. My mission is, well, how am I going to get there? I'm probably going to need to call up Elon Musk and ask if I can use one of his spaceships and get that way. So your mission is what you're doing to get there. And so for us, I've got a really simple mission at Storm Fitness Academy. I help fitness enthusiasts become successful fitness professionals. Boom, done. So whenever it comes to anything, when I'm thinking about getting a new product, a new service, refining stuff, if it doesn't align with my mission of helping fitness enthusiasts become successful fitness professionals, I don't do it.
Brilliant. You also say to define and document your business core values.
Yeah, core values. So this is something I love this. I love this because it brings the human out of you and into your business. And I think it's great for a number of reasons. I think people want to know that a business has some core values and it's not just a money-making machine, but it's a reflection of you, and it really supercharges your motivation. So like for me, I'm big on authenticity. A number of times I've had marketing companies get involved in my business and tell me to say certain things, and I'm like, that's not authentic, I'm not going to do that. And if it means I lose money for it, I don't care. Authenticity is one of my core values, being real. Number two is I'm big on sort of self-development, and I think personal training should be. So keep learning and keep becoming better, and that shines through in everything that we do, our messaging, the conversation we're having now. And the third one is a commitment to health and fitness. If you want to be a fitness professional, you have to have a commitment to health and fitness. That doesn't mean you're perfect, doesn't mean you have to look like a fitness model, but you've got to be striving to be the healthiest, fittest version of yourself.
Wow, okay, great. You also say to define and document your business goals.
Yeah, so again, goals to me, they're like KPIs, key performance indicators. If you've got numbers, you can work with those. So it might be to have this vision, you're going to have a certain number of paying customers. Your community is going to be a certain size. You're going to have a certain number of hits to your website. You're going to have a certain number of followers to your whatever it is. You're going to have a certain turnover, certain profit. Doesn't matter. You work out your KPIs and you get those down, you document those, then you break those down into milestones. If I keep thinking about, let's say I wanted to be a billionaire. If I keep thinking about billionaire, I could be making progress every month, but I'm still a long way away from being a billionaire. But if I break that down into milestones and I go, this is goal, my first milestone, when I get there, I celebrate. And then you break that down into what are the actions I need to take to get to that first milestone.
Yeah, I love that. Brilliant advice. I remember when you told me to identify and describe my ideal customer avatar. Just remind everyone what you meant by that.
Yeah, so like avatar is, like for me, it's your target audience. So target market is anyone who would be interested in your products, your services, what you have to offer. Your target audience is segmenting that market into like super, like, and then your avatar is like, who's the perfect customer? Right there in the middle, who's that perfect customer? What do they watch? What do they read? Where do they go? What do they listen to? What's their age? What's their gender? What are their values? What are their hobbies? What are they struggling with? What would they like to do with their life? And you understand that really, really well. And I think that's probably game changing for where it takes you next in your business.
Yeah, and then that leads on to identifying and describing your customer avatar, pain and gain.
Yeah, pain and gain. Some of this terminology, I don't like it because it sounds like cutthroat, but I don't know any other terminology. So pain and gain. So when a customer rings you up or submits a form or makes contact with you, they have a pain. It might not feel like a pain, but there's something like an itch they need scratching, a niggle, just something in their life that they would like to be better. And you are identifying that, and then you're creating the solution that gets rid of that, or irons that out, whatever it may be, and then what does that gain? Like a good example is somebody, their pain could be they've got a holiday coming up where they're with the girls and there's going to be lots of photos being taken. They're really self-conscious that they are going to be the large one in the group and they hate that. And the gain, obviously, if they can do something about that, the gain is they're going to feel happier on that holiday. They're going to have better self-esteem, more self-confidence, just more enjoyment and pleasure during that experience.
Okay, makes sense. You talk about developing a tripwire, core products and add-on, and creating a pricing structure.
Yeah, so tripwire would be something that is a low-cost product that people will invest in to explore you before they commit to purchasing anything of higher value. With trainers, the obvious stuff is coming to one of your classes. You know, paying £7 to come to one of your classes. That's a tripwire, really. It's like £7. I'll check it out, try it, see if I like it. Yeah, I love this community. I love this coach. I love what they're about. I love the brand. I'm ready to commit. Now it might mean that they upgrade and pay for a membership. They pay for a year up front, or they go, do you know what? This guy's so good. This girl's so good. I want them on a one-to-one basis. I want them all to myself. So then they purchase your pinnacle one-to-one face-to-face PT services, which is your core product. Your core product is the thing you want to sell the most of. What is the main thing? If you could just keep selling those all day long, that's the complete package that solves it for your client and keeps you in the good graces of the Lord. So the add-on is going to be, well, look, is there anything else I can add on that is going to improve my profit margins that's quite easy to sell at the point of sale? So it might be that as part of your package, you actually haven't included the nutrition side. So you then ask the question, would you like to bolt on the nutritional review and analysis as well? And that's something where you get them to fill out a food diary in MyFitnessPal, and then you analyse that. This is something we teach our guys to on our level 3 PT course. They analyse that and they send out their recommendations to the client based on that. And that'd be an add-on that they purchase on top.
Right, and then you've got your pricing structure. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, pricing structure. So to get you guys started, if you're just starting out and you're listening to this and you think, oh God, there's so much to do, just pick one core product to begin with. Just, that's all you need to do, one core product and sell that, and then just, work away everything else. But then you might get to a point where you want to have multiple versions of that to meet a range of needs and a range of budgets. So at Storm Fitness Academy, we have packages for people that want to become PTs and coaches. We have a standard, an advanced, and elite. I'm the sort of person that goes for the elite. Once I decide I want to do something, I'm like, I'm not going to dick around with this. I'm going for the elite. I want the full shebang. Some people are going to go, I'm going to go down the middle. I don't want to go for the cheap one or the more expensive one. I want to go for the middle, which is typically what most people do. Then the standard is those people that go, do you know what? I'm still not completely convinced that I need all this other stuff. So I'm going to dip my toe in a bit more. I would recommend you guys do the same. And once you've got your core product and you're nailing everything else, split that up into 3 options that meet different needs and different budgets.
Great. You then say to build your website or landing page, but isn't that expensive? Isn't it quite difficult?
It doesn't have to be, no. So there's so many things now that you can use, like we've got Wix, Squarespace, Weebly. WordPress is a bit more complicated, but not crazy complicated. So there's lots of things out there that you can use. Even Google Sites, Canva does it now as well. So you can build sites very, very easily using those kind of platforms quite cheaply. But one page, start with one page, start with one landing page. You don't need all the menus and complicated systems. One landing page that communicates to your audience who you are, what you do, how you help them, and call to actions, social proof, contact forms, all that stuff.
A quick add-on to that, is that completely necessary, or can I just create a social media account?
So you can, you totally can. You can leverage paid ads and your social media accounts, and you totally can. I've done a bit of my own research on this just from talking to my customers, and the majority of us all think that if somebody hasn't got a website, it affects our trust in the brand. This may change, and this may be old farts like me saying this, and maybe your young Gen Zs, is it? Potentially don't care, but I would say at the moment, it's not hard. A landing page, easy to do.
Okay, you then say to create at least one lead generation tool. What on earth is that?
That would be, the oldest one in the book for PTs is a free consultation. It's something that there's no risk involved. It doesn't cost me anything, I'm not going to lose any money, just a bit of my time, let's find out more. So you do a free consultation, you sit down with a client, you find out what they're about, who they are, what they want, what their needs are, and you give a nice little tailored approach to help them solve their problems. Now, of course, the plan is the easy bit. Adhering to the plan is where most people need the support, the accountability, and the professionalism, the motivation, the inspiration. So it's unlikely those people are just going to have a consultation and not want to do anything more with that. But that would be a lead magnet. You can have, if you're an online coach, you can have start free trial on an app, download a program, something for them to try before they buy.
Okay, you then say to create a seamless payment and enrollment process, something like using Stripe or GoCardless. What's that?
Yeah, so there's still a lot of PTs now. And look, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, do you know what, I just want to make a few quid on the side, it's just a little bit of a side hustle, and you really don't want it to be a big animal or whatever, yeah, fine, ignore this. But if you want something that's a bit more streamlined and has got the potential to be a very good side hustle, then streamline your payment systems. If I go on your website and I'm sold, I want to buy, I'm in a position, I want to buy now, and it says, send me an email and I'll give you a call next week. I've got so much time to talk myself out of spending my money. If I can just go click, add to basket, buy, done, then I'm in. And I'm excited because there's no going back. It's going to happen. I don't go back. I'm not going to get buyer's remorse. I paid for it. Let's go.
Love that. You say to also create a CRM system to manage customer details and automate important communications and tasks.
Customer relationship management system, so long-winded, but there's loads of ways you can do this. I'll tell you what my first CRM system was, a notebook and a pen. I used to get a customer ring up and I'd get on the phone, I'd give them a notebook, and I would write down all the details that they were giving me on the phone that I could remember, and then I would follow up with them if I didn't, close the deal there and then. I'd follow up with them, And if they told me they were not interested and didn't want to pursue it any further at all, I'd put a cross through it. If they were interested, I'd highlight with a fluorescent pen, and that was my old school CRM system. Of course, now, Active Campaign, I absolutely love. I use that, I've done for years. You can use Google Contacts, it's free. There's lots of ways. Just managing client data so you don't lose it, and it's protected and you understand your client better.
Perfect. You then say to set up client management software for both leads and customers.
Yeah, so that's kind of linked to what I just said about the CRM system. So client management software is where everyone that makes contact with you goes into your system, your software, and you can separate those by which ones are interested, so leads. They have never purchased from you, they're inquiring, and those that have purchased from you. Because the way you communicate with them and the touch points are going to be different. You know, you're going to have so many different campaigns and things around turning a lead into a paying customer and then keeping a customer and reselling to a customer. So you really need to keep that data. You need to keep it safe. You know, data protection, GDPR. You've got to be careful how you use that data. Use it the way you intend to use it, but with their permission to use it in that manner.
Okay, you then move on to saying you need to set up an incentive program for customer referrals.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I think you're gonna keep going then.
Full stop.
Yeah, cool. Customer referrals. So people are generally pretty nice, and if you do a good job and you have a good relationship with them, they will talk about you to other people. But everyone has to be called to action. So I don't know about you, but I can see stuff all the time and go, I want that, I need that, I like that, I'd like to do that, and I just never get around to doing it. But if someone actually stopped me and goes, you want this, right? Yes. Let's do it now. I'll sit down with you, let's go through it. Then I'm more likely to do it. So having a referral incentive is basically saying to your customers, go, if you've got any other friends that are interested in this, whatever it is, your core product, if any of them sign up to it, I'll give them a discount and I'll give you a little bit of a kickback for finding them. And it's just a little bit of not a boot up the bum, but it's just a little bit of an incentive. There we go.
Okay. You also say set up a way to track website traffic, leads, conversions, and average sale value.
This can get in the way of you starting if you do this too early, but if you're getting to the point where you really want to grow things, you really want to scale things, you want to spend time and attention on what really matters, if you've got something like Google Analytics, you can see where are your customers coming from, which pages are they going to the most, which are the most popular. Imagine if you've got 5,000 people going to a very specific page every month, and you look at that page and you go, there's no call to action on there. There's no contact form. There's nothing telling them to get in contact. There's no link to a lead magnet that builds a relationship with them straight away. So you want to make sure that you can see that data because you can tweak and change things. And the data might be bad, but you need to do something with that.
Okay, you talk about setting up accounting software like Xero to track your income and expenses.
Yeah. Right. So the first time I set up my PT business, so that was Storm Ultimate Fitness in 2010, I think that was. Got to the end of the year and my accountant said, right, can you give us all your income and your expenditure and all your receipts and what have you? And that was a hideous job. It was a week of trying to get everything together and figure it all out. It was horrible. Then I got some accounting software. So I paid a bookkeeper. And that was all going well, it's fine. And then one day I stumbled upon Xero, which sounds like, I have no kickback from Xero, probably should though. With Xero, it syncs with my bank account. So every day I go in and Xero pulls up a transaction and says, what do you want me to do with that? I create a rule which says, well actually, if you see that coming from there, that's this. So I'm literally clicking go, 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 go. So I'm doing my bookkeeping as you go. It was more work telling my bookkeeper what to do with those transactions than it was just to do it myself. So I saved paying a bookkeeper and I saved myself time and money, syncing my bank with Xero.
Great, that's very interesting. So you also say, and we've got 3 left by the way, so we're nearly there. You say that you should create a marketing schedule that attracts new customers and re-engages old customers.
Obviously, the way you talk to your older customers and the way you talk to your yet-to-be customers, your leads, is going to be very, very different. And look, you're fighting for people's attention and time. Time is not infinite. So when you're sending out emails, you're competing with everyone else that's sending them emails. When you're sending out text, when you're putting stuff on social media. So the more personalized you can get, the better, because it has to stand out. So if you're just blanketly mailing out everybody on your contact list a message and just saying, thinking, well, the ones that's relevant to, we'll do something about that, your open rates are going to go down and down and down. People are going to start reading stuff less and less. And those that are interested in what you've got in this email are used to not reading your emails because they're not relevant to them. So you've got to treat your customers differently and personalize it as much as you possibly can.
Oh, all right, okay. You also say it's really important that you schedule in time for your own health and fitness in your diary.
Yeah, big time, yeah. So what you might find is when you set up your fitness business for the first time, you get so bogged down with this checklist that we're going through that you just keep putting your own health and fitness on the back burner. You start eating more for convenience rather than for nutrition. You might start sleeping less because you want to work longer and longer hours. Don't do that. If you are, well, don't beat yourself up about it, but don't do that, because the most productive, most efficient, the most best version of you is still exercising, it's still role modeling your passion for health and fitness. Eating good nutrition nourishes your brain. Sleeping recovers and rejuvenates the brain. So you are sharpen the saw. If you haven't read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, read that chapter, Sharpen the Saw.
Great advice. You also say, lastly, to track your finances, including turnover and profit.
Yeah, so turnover is, there's an expression to do with something like turnover is ego and profit is, I can't remember what it is. But the messaging behind it, I remember. So turnover, you obviously gives you an indication of what you're selling. And if that number's going up, you're doing something right, you're selling. But if you find that your profit is going down, something's wrong there. So profit is what you're left with after everything else has gone out. And really that's what you're most concerned with, profit. That is the number one most important thing you're looking at. So if your turnover could go down, but if your overheads have gone right down and you've systemized things so well that you get to keep more and your profit's gone up, fantastic. But I look at both. Turnover tells me more bums on seats, pricing's right, it's all going well. Profit says to me that I've got some good systems, I'm not overspending in certain areas.
Yeah, thanks, John. Appreciate your help, appreciate your support. I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
Cheers, George.